What's up, guys? It's your boy Max, and today I'm going to be reacting to these 20 creepy two-sentence stories posted by Mr.Nightmare. Happy 4th of July, by the way, to everyone that's in the States.
I woke up to hear knocking on glass. At first, I thought it was the window until I heard it come from the mirror again. The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long, rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was only a dream, but as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Growing up with cats and dogs, I got used to the sound of scratching at my door while I slept. Now that I live alone, it's much more unsettling.
Seriously.
In all the time that I've lived alone in this house, I swear to God I've closed more doors than I've opened. A girl heard her mom yell her name from downstairs, so she got up and started to head down. As she got to the stairs, her mom pulled her into her room and said, "I heard that too."
That would be so weird.
My wife woke me up last night to tell me that there was an intruder in our house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago. I awoke to the sound of the baby monitor crackling with a voice comforting my firstborn child. As I adjusted to a new position, my arm brushed against my wife, sleeping next to me. I always thought my cat had a staring problem. She always seemed fixated on my face, until one day when I realized that she was always looking just behind me. There's nothing like the laughter of a baby, unless it's 1 a.m. and you're home alone.
That would be so weird.
I was having a pleasant dream when what sounded like hammering woke me. After that, I could barely hear the muffled sound of dirt covering the coffin over my screams.
Damn.
"I can't sleep," she whispered, crawling into bed with me. I woke up cold, clutching the dress she was buried in. I begin tucking him into bed and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody on my bed."
What the hell?
You get home, tired after a long day's work and ready for a relaxing night alone. You reach for the light switch, but another hand is already there.
Yo, that would be creepy.
I can't move, breathe, speak, or hear, and it's so dark all the time. If I knew it would be this lonely, I would have been cremated instead. She went upstairs to check on her sleeping toddler. The window was open and the bed was empty. Don't be scared of monsters, just look for them. Look to your left, to your right, under your bed, behind your dresser, in your closet, but never look up. She hates being seen.
Boy, that's creepy.
My daughter won't stop crying and screaming in the middle of the night. I visit her grave and ask her to stop, but it doesn't help.
That wasn't expected.
After working a hard day, I came home to see my girlfriend cradling our child. I didn't know which was more frightening, seeing my dead girlfriend and stillborn child, or knowing that someone broke into my apartment to place them there. There was a picture on my phone of me sleeping. I live alone.
That would be so creepy. Oh my god.
The last man on earth sat alone in a room. There was a knock on the door.
Alright, thanks for that, Mr. Nightmare. And it's also... I haven't seen this one. Chain lock door. Okay.
My sister's an art teacher, and she rented a 2-bedroom cheap apartment to use as a studio.
Right.
She never lived there, she just used it as a place to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was hard up for a place to stay, she was nice and gave me one of the rooms.
Right.
So I moved my stuff in the morning and then went off to work.
Mm-hmm.
I came home excited, ready to enjoy my new place. My sister had told me to be really careful with the locks, so I locked the door with a deadbolt and chain. I made myself some instant ramen with the water heater in the kitchen and then read some comics until it was time for bed.
Mm-hmm.
I checked the door, the gas, and then went to sleep. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, I heard the deadbolt unlock from the front door. My sister had come to paint. I heard her go to the bedroom next to mine, the one she used as a studio. I'd been in there
Why
earlier. It
her?
was empty, except for some canvas and paints. I was tired and I had work again the next morning, so I stayed in bed. I could hear her mumbling and laughing to herself. Man, artists are weird people, I said to myself as I fell asleep again. When I woke up in the morning, my sister was
Yeah, if someone's just like talking and laughing to themselves in the middle of the night, that's pretty damn creepy. You might want to check that out.
gone and I was alone in the apartment. I got up and got ready and then went out the front door. It was only when I turned around to lock it that I realized, and I was suddenly terrified. I never went back into that apartment again.
Wait, what the hell happened?
To lock it that I realized. I could hear her mumbling and laughing to herself. Man, artists are weird people, I said to myself as I fell asleep again. When I woke up in the morning, my sister was gone and I was alone in the apartment. I got up and got ready and then went out the front door. It was only when I turned around to lock it that I realized, and I was suddenly terrified. I never went back into that apartment again.
What the hell happened? Was the door locked? I'm not getting what's happening here. If anyone does know what exactly is happening, please tell me in the comments because I'm not understanding this. The
In Berlin, after World War II, money was short, supplies were tight, and it seemed like everyone was hungry. At that time, people were telling the tale of a young woman who saw a blind man picking his way through a crowd. The two started to talk. The man asked her for a favor. Could she deliver the letter to the address on the envelope? Well, it was on her way home, so she agreed. She started out to deliver the message when she turned around to see if there was anything else the blind man needed. But she spotted him hurrying through the crowd without his smoked glasses or a white cane. She was naturally suspicious, so she went to the police. When the police paid a visit to the address on the envelope, they made a gruesome discovery. 3 butchers had been harvesting human flesh and selling it to the starving people. And what was in the envelope the man gave to the woman? A note, saying simply, "This is the last one I'm sending you today."
That's weird. What else is there? 3 urban legends for Halloween. Halloween is the best holiday, just saying. Oh, this lady. Okay. In the first story, the twist was that he'd locked the chain on the inside of the front door. So how did it open enough to let someone say something inside? Oh. Okay, shout out to Kate Goodall then. Okay. It's interesting. Urban legends for Halloween? Yeah, sure. I have the 3 urban legends. Backseat.
One night, a woman went out for drinks with her girlfriends. She left the bar fairly late at night, got in her car, and got onto the deserted highway. After a few minutes, she noticed a lone pair of headlights in her rearview mirror, approaching at a pace just slightly quicker than hers. As the car pulled up behind her, she glanced and saw the turn signal on. The car was going to pass, when suddenly it swerved back behind her, pulled up dangerously close to her tailgate, and flashed its lights. Now she was getting nervous. The lights dimmed for a moment, and then the brights came back on, and the car behind her surged forward. The frightened woman struggled to keep her eyes on the road and fought the urge to look at the car behind her. Finally, her exit approached, but the car continued to follow, flashing the brights periodically. Through every stoplight and turn, it followed her until she pulled into her driveway. She figured her only hope was to make a mad dash into the house and call the police. As she flew from her car, so did the driver of the car behind her, and he screamed, "Lock the door and call the police. Call 911. When the police arrived, the horrible truth was finally revealed to the woman. The man in the car had been trying to save her. As he pulled up behind her and his headlights illuminated the car, he saw the silhouette of a man with a butcher knife rising it up from the back seat to stab her. So he flashed his brights, forcing the figure to crouch back down.
Wow, that was unexpected as hell, huh? Jeez. On statue.
So-and-so's friend, a girl in her teens, is babysitting.
Now, I'm just gonna state the fact that I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person in the world that is not afraid of clowns.
For a family in Newport Beach, California. The family is wealthy and has a very large house, you know the sort, with a ridiculous amount of rooms. Anyways, the parents are going out for a late dinner/movie. The father tells the babysitter that once the children are in bed, she should go into the specific room and watch TV in there, because he doesn't really want her wandering around the house. The parents take off, and as soon as she gets the kids into bed, she goes to the room to watch TV. She tries watching TV, but she is disturbed by a clown statue in the corner of the room. She tries to ignore it for as long as possible, but it starts freaking her out so much that she can't handle it. She resorts to calling the father and asks, "Hey, the kids are in bed, but is it okay if I switch rooms? This clown statue is really creeping me out." The father says seriously, "Get the kids, go next door, and call 911. She asks, "What's going on?" He responds, "Just go next door, and once you call the police, call me back." She gets the kids, goes next door, and calls the police. When the police are on the way, she calls the father back and asks, "So really, what's going on?" He responds, "We don't have a clown statue." He then further explains that the children have been complaining about a clown watching them as they sleep. He and his wife have just blown it off, assuming that they were having nightmares. The police arrive and apprehend the clown, who turns out to be a midget. A midget clown. I guess he was some homeless person dressed as a clown who somehow got into the house and had been living there for several weeks. He would come into the kids' rooms at night and watch them while they slept. As the house was so large, he was able to avoid detection, surviving off their food and other household appliances. He had been in the TV room right before the babysitter came in there. When she entered, he didn't have enough time to hide, so he just froze in place and pretended to be a statue.
What's so scary about a clown? Like, I would honestly be so damn scared if like some homeless guy was in my house. I would not be real. I mean, if a clown was in my house, obviously that would be scary because someone broke in. But still, like, I don't understand what makes it so much scarier that it's a clown. Clowns are just stoners. Like, the choking Doberman.
My cousin and his wife lived in Sydney with this huge Doberman in a little apartment off Maroubra Road. One night, they went out for dinner and a spot of clubbing. By the time they got home, it was late and my cousin was more than a little drunk.
It kind of looks like my
They got in
dog.
the door and were greeted by the dog, choking to death in the lounge room. My cousin just fainted, but his wife called the veterinarian, who was an old family friend of hers, and got her to agree to meet her at the surgery. The wife drives over and drops off the dog, but decides that she'd better go home and get her husband into bed. She gets home and finally slaps my cousin into consciousness, but he's still drunk. It takes her almost half an hour to get him upstairs. And then the phone rings. She's tempted to just leave it, but she decides that it must be important or they wouldn't be ringing that late at night. As soon as she picks up the phone, she hears the veterinarian say into the phone, "Oh, thank God I got you in time. Leave the house now. No time to explain." Then the vet hangs up. Because she's such an old friend, the wife trusts.
No. Why wouldn't you just explain instead of saying no time for explanation? I feel like in that amount of time you could explain it. Like, it can't possibly be that long of an explanation.
Her, and so she starts getting her husband down the stairs and out of the house. By the time they've made it all the way out, the police are outside. They rush up the front stairs, past the couple, and into the house. But my cousin's wife still doesn't have a clue what's going on. The veterinarian shows up and says, "Have they got him?" "Have they got who?" says the wife, starting to get really pissed off. "Well, I found what the dog was choking on. It was a human finger." Just then, the police drag out a dirty, stubbly man who's bleeding profusely from one hand. "Hey, Sarge," one of them yells. "We found him in the bedroom."
Yeah, that's creepy. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.